All right, gentlemen and ladies. I guess there are a few ladies that watch too. I got something in the mail for the 260, the 026. I got a new OEM 44 millimeter piston and ring and wrist pin. Even comes with the circlips, which is nice. This thing was $100. I'm not proud of that, but 'tis what I needed. Thank you, Seesaw's Run. I think that's who it was that I bought that from. They have another one if anyone needs the 44 millimeter OEM piston. I bought this cylinder on eBay. It's secondhand. I've got the Dingle Ball hone coming in 45 millimeter to hone that. And then that'll be after we check some numbers and hopefully do some at least lower transfers. I may do some other porting. But anywho's, I guess that was about it for today, but I was pretty excited. I even got out the proper ring compressor and compressed the rings and put it in, and then I took the rings off and made sure the cylinder's tight. You just drop it in there with, gotta take your cotton out. Mine hung on some cotton, but with the cotton out, you plug the cylinder, the spark plug hole, and drop the piston down in there with no rings, and it should slide down slow. But if you let off the spark plug hole, it should just drop. So that makes sure it's got play, but not too much play. You don't want piston slap. That's bad. Okay. And I'm probably gonna have to get the inside diameter, my little rods, and I'm gonna go ahead and measure the cylinder, make sure it's good. But yeah, after this one, the 200 is gonna get put together and broke in. I may not port it yet. I may just do the lower transfers to match them, but it will get put together and broke in, because you can't port a not running saw. If you try to start it and it didn't run before, you don't know what it could have been. So you got to make sure they run good and are broken in generally before you go porting them. Then you can kind of see how they do with the base gasket delete, and maybe the transfer's done, and then okay, it needs a little of this and a little of that. I know the first one I tried, the 44.7 millimeter piston and cylinder, that thing, it bolts on, but it's not the same. The transfers are done for you though, but I would have to add so much intake to that one. It was like 12 degrees of intake short of being a 50cc saw. So I was like, well, I'm going back to the 49cc with the little transfers, but I'll do what I was shown by my good friend Tin Man, and then we'll put her back together. I am gonna put the piston on with no rings, and I am gonna do the timing just to get a base gasket delete. Actually, I may put a base gasket on there, do the numbers, and see if base gasket delete's possible with this setup. So probably start there. Measure, make sure the cylinder's good. Pretty sure it is. It looks really good. It's a nice cylinder. And then make sure everything else is still holding up and in good shape. I don't want to have to split the case for this build. It has new seals, new crank seals, and I have a gasket set over there, so I have a base gasket. And I have more seals, factory OEM. So I could do those seals again. Just count the first one's practice. Who cares, you know? But I got my rubber strips to do vacuum pressure test. I can block off exhaust now. I can block off some intakes. A lot of my saws have a intake block, so they're older saws, so I can actually block the intake off as well, and then just use the pulse line for the vacuum and the pressure. And of course you do that test with the spark plug in too and tight. But heck yeah, so saw building has commenced it, guys. I am actually putting a ported saw together. I still haven't found the original piston, the 024 piston. And I remember I didn't want to put it in there because I had the 024 cylinder and that and this 260 cylinder, or yeah, cylinder. And I didn't want it getting banged up by the two cylinders. So now I got to figure out what I did with it. Maybe I put it under all the paper in there so it wouldn't bang. It may just be hiding in that box. Anywho, I thought about just putting it back on. The original cylinder looks great. It could drop one ring, maybe do a base gasket delete, and a little lower transfer work, and that original cylinder probably just scream. But it ran good. It ran better than that thing. That thing just had no compression at all. It had 55 squish, which, I don't know, that sounds crazy too much. I was expecting like 30, 35. I was not ready for 55 squish. Like, what? That doesn't even make sense. So hopefully by putting a little older cylinder on it, may have a little smaller things, but if the crankcase likes it better, that's what you got to run, you know? It's not up to us. It's up to that bottom end. And if that bottom end doesn't like that, but it likes that, hey, guess what? It's going to be that. All right, guys. Holler at you later.